Alright everyone, we start off today with a double header from Joe Biden. Link in the description, archived of course. This one's the more meaningful, like the policy side of things. But one of his attendant comments, we're starting to get like 2 or 3 gaffes a day sometimes, so I apologize if sometimes this becomes the Biden gaffe channel or something. After midterms, maybe they'll 25th him, and then it'll be the Kamala Harris Goes Crazy channel for a while, I suppose. Good time had by all. Reminder, by the way, on Wednesday, the normal stream will not take place. Just a quick reminder for everyone. On YouTube and Rumble, I'll be streaming that day later with Sleazy P. Martini. If things go well, I got to figure out StreamYard and tinker around with it, make sure we can get a third party aboard. I want to make sure everything's set up in advance of the midterms because I don't want any tech difficulties during that particular stream. I have a feeling it's going to be lit. It's going to be one hell of a night, and I'll be massively hyper-caffeinated. And we'll probably be whipping each other into a frenzy because Sleazy tends to be a little bit of a joke master himself. So it's going to be a fun time. Anyway, getting to the news here. Again, link in the description, archived of course. Check it out for yourself. Joe Biden is now making another suggestion with regards to oil prices, and the messaging of his stewardship has been all over the place. High gas prices are good, it'll get people into EVs. Oh shit, the focus group says that most of the population didn't like it when I said that. Okay, I'll ease your pain a little bit. We'll start draining the strategic oil reserves. Now, we're already at a 30-year low with regards to the strategic reserve as of this current moment. Now he's suggesting draining it faster to offset OPEC cutting production, so injecting oil into the U.S. economy on a short-term basis from the strategic reserve. How long do you think the strategic reserve will take to get to zero under this current policy? 6 months? A year? Depends, I guess, on Joe Biden's mood and what happens with the economy. He's now single-mindedly fixed on that when you could just domestically produce more oil. If you didn't nix Keystone, if you didn't fuck around with the permitting process, if you didn't hyper-regulate things, if your policies in Europe made more sense. The United States was a net energy exporter. We had topped off our reserve to an all-time high under Trump for some time, although some of it I believe was drained after COVID first broke out. Then it went up for a while. Now Biden's been robbing it for the last 6 months. It was topped off. We were a net exporter of gas and oil, and the world's major producer of both. Everything was fine. Keystone was already getting dug in, ready to go, moving on towards its final stage. The refineries were fully producing. Everything was goddamn glorious. Gas prices were adjusted for inflation for a while there. They were exceedingly low, actually, under Donald Trump. We haven't had that boon in quite some time. It's dragging on the U.S. economy. People travel less, etc., etc. The cost of everything goes up, especially from diesel, but also gasoline in general. When these fuels become more expensive, transiting goods becomes more expensive. Ergo, that cost trickles down to the consumers double. They pay more at the pump, and then they pay more at the grocery store. These two things are linked, and a lot of people don't think of it in that more macroeconomic sense. It's almost criminal at this point, though. The strategic reserve was never meant to be used as a piggy bank to balance gas prices. It's meant for military purposes. It's meant for purposes when, let's say a hurricane comes, destroys several refineries, rips apart some oil rigs, production falls, it takes time to restore them. Then you free up from the strategic reserve. So when times are good, if you're producing energy and you're a net exporter, you're also adding to the strategic reserve. If anything, we should be pressuring the U.S. government to massively expand the strategic reserve system. It should be 2 or 3 times what we currently have, even at peak. We should still be filling it right now. There's no reason that you can't divert some oil into the strategic reserve. You'll have to deal with the pain of BIDENOMICS in the meantime. It means a marginal increase in the gas prices, 10 cents or something like that. Considering the gas prices are already so high and people are grinning and bearing it and aren't completely flipping out, it would be better, it would be more ethical if Biden were to leave the strategic reserves alone. So that's the first part. He's turned what is a strategic reserve, literally, that's what it's called, for wartime, for military purposes, for the supplying of necessary demand in the case of a major disaster, which we have not had as far as oil goes. So there's no reason to drain it. That's the purpose. He's using it as a piggy bank. He's taking money, effectively, in oil form that Trump stored up in that piggy bank and using it to try to eliminate a slice of the economic damage his own policies are causing. Then, separate to this, At the same time, on the same goddamn day, he comes out and he says, well, gas was always $7 a gallon in California. Now, this may not be meaningful to people who hate California. You know, an Alabaman paying like $3.50 a gallon will be like chuckling right now, probably. He doesn't see it as a problem because California is far blue. What a rebuke of Joe Biden's character, that not only does he not understand basic economics, certainly doesn't understand anything about the energy industry. Fucking Buttigieg doesn't either. He's the goddamn transport secretary. He's too busy running trains up his ass all day. Joe Biden making that crazy claim. No, gas was not always $7 a gallon in California. Due to the geography and the state's economic situation, its high tax policies, massive regulation, gas tends to be higher there. But it wasn't fucking $7 a gallon a couple of years ago. Nowhere near it. Gas prices in the United States have surged, partially due to Bidenomics. Part of it is due to the war in Ukraine at this point. Nord Stream gets bombed out and shit like that. You've got a world energy crisis right now. Part of it's not Biden's fault, but a large part of it is. And that true fault would show up if the gas tax holiday hadn't been nixed, if winter blends hadn't been allowed to persist through the warmer months, more ethanol in it from corn specifically, and if you weren't freeing up from the strategic reserves, you'd probably see a 50-cent increase in the gas prices. That price is still there. It's just being hidden by shenanigans by the Biden administration right now. One thing he is getting right is getting rid of the gas tax. I think that holiday should be extended in perpetuity. There shouldn't be any federal gas tax. Hell, states shouldn't tax it either. We should be going in the other direction. We need to drill, baby, drill. Fossil fuel is not going to turn the world into Tatooine. We've got a shit ton of it domestically. We could help our European allies. We could subsidize transiting of liquid natural gas to Europe and reduce their economic woes at the same time. We could use it as a diplomatic tool. The United States could say to our friends here, we're going to show you our largesse. We've got a shit ton of gas and we're oil self-sufficient, so we're going to cut the cost for you and subsidize it directly to take care of things because you're our allies in NATO. You're our important trade partners and we don't want your economies to collapse. Be entirely self-serving, of course. If Europe falls into a deep recession, as it now is probably going to do, Europeans will buy less, what? American goods. That's really going to hurt, considering the massive importation of certain U.S. goods and services into parts of Western Europe. This is Bidenomics at its breaking point. You're saying that the current rate at which you're robbing the piggy bank isn't enough because OPEC decided to screw you over. And that's tangential to an entirely different scandal, an impeachable one, where Joe Biden went behind the public's back to beg the Saudis on bended knee, kissing ring and kissing ass at the same time and probably grabbing a cock in order to try to get them to not raise the oil prices by cutting production. Now they've forced him into a corner where the better alternative to the actual rise in those gas prices, 3 weeks before the midterms, by the way, is to rob the piggy bank even more. It never appears to enter into this current stewardship's mind, the admin's mind whatsoever, that maybe it's time to reverse course, get the oil out of the ground domestically, have more refining, have more pumping, get more natural gas. That fossil fuel, no, you're bending to the green energy lobby, which does actually exist at this point. It used to be a Republican mythology. It seems to have coalesced into an egregore of some sort. Now it's got a life of its own, and it's a malevolent life form. They're pressuring the Biden admin, something that Obama resisted, by the way, to not pump the oil, to not drill out for gas or anything like this, to raise the gas prices. He was crowing last year about how high gas prices were a good thing. That's because they were just a bit higher. They had risen like $1 a gallon or something. He said, well, this is actually good. It'll convince people to buy electric vehicles. You wouldn't be worrying about these gas prices if you had gone EV. Yeah, if you had gone deep into debt and taken out the equivalent of a good-sized college loan, debt load, in order to get a vehicle that'll cost $10,000 to repair if its battery decides to shit the bed. If you only had enough money to invest in an EV to begin with, you could marginally reduce your output of money under Bidenomics. The callousness is astonishing. The fact that there are people that actually still support this goofball is more astonishing to me. Again, what a stunning rebuke of Bidenomics that he's having to sap the oil reserves even faster now. Apparently robbing, before it was like a regular robbery, okay? You went into the bank with the handgun and you demanded a bundle of money. Now it's more like a whole goddamn troop of people come in with fucking machine guns and they say, no, we don't even want the money. We want to occupy the whole fucking bank. That's about all. Peace out.